former Israel space security chief, says that an alien Galactic Federation has been working with humanity. The Israel news source, the Jerusalem Post, has put out an article stating that an alien Galactic Federation are working together with Israel and the United States. This Galactic Federation has supposedly been in contact with us for years, but believes humanity is not yet ready for their existence to be known. This is Final Death Star with a breaking unfamiliar news update. This coming from the Jerusalem Post. Former Israeli space security chief says aliens exist. Humanity not ready. This Galactic Federation has supposedly been in contact with Israel and the United States for years, but are keeping themselves a secret to prevent hysteria until humanity is ready. Has the state of Israel made contact with aliens? According to the retired Israeli general and current professor Hayam Eshed, the answer is yes. But this has been kept a secret because humanity is, quote, not yet ready. Speaking in an interview with Yedat Aronot, Eshed, who served as the head of Israeli space program for nearly 30 years and is a three-time recipient of Israel's Security Award, explained that Israel and the United States have both been dealing with aliens for years. And this by no means refers to immigrants, with Eshed clarifying the existence of a, quote, Galactic Federation, end quote. The 87 years old space security chief gave further descriptions about what exactly sort of agreements have been made between the aliens and the U.S., which ostensibly has been made because they wish to research and understand the, quote, fabric of the universe, end quote. This cooperation includes a secret underground base on Mars where the American and alien representatives are located. If true, this would coincide with U.S. President Donald Trump's creation of a Space Force as the fifth branch of the U.S. Armed Forces, though it is unclear how long this sort of relationship, if any, has been going on between the U.S. and its reported extraterrestrial aliens. But Eshed insists that Trump is aware of them, and that he was on the verge of disclosing their existence. However, the Galactic Federation reportedly stopped him from doing so, saying they wished to prevent mass hysteria, since they felt humanity needed to, quote, evolve and reach a stage where we will understand what space and spaceships are, end quote. As for why he's chosen to reveal this information now, Eshed explained that the timing was simply due to how much the academic landscape has changed and how respected he is in academia. If I had come up with what I was saying 5 years ago, I would have been hospitalized, he explained. He added that, quote, today they are already talking different. I have nothing to lose. I've received my degrees and awards. I am respected in universities abroad where I attend, where the trend is also changing, end quote. Eshed provided more information in his newest book, The Universe Beyond the Horizon, Conversations with Professor Hayam Eshed, along with other details such as how aliens have prevented nuclear apocalypses and, quote, when we can jump in and visit Men in Black, end quote. It is unclear if any evidence exists to support Eshed's claims. They did come just ahead of a recent announcement by Space Ill, the group behind Israel's failed attempt to land a spacecraft on the moon in 2019. Uploaded to social media with the text, "Get ready to get excited again." The announcement contained a 15-second video of the moon with a text saying "Back to the Moon," followed by the date December 9th, 2020. Could this be true? This would be groundbreaking, world-changing, if it were. Eshed is an 87-year-old man. He is up in his elderly age. Could this be something he has fabricated in his mind? Is he playing a large practical joke on the world? I doubt it. He is a well-respected, well-awarded chief of security for 30-plus years. His reputation is on the line here. Sure, he might be older. He might not have as much fear of losing the reputation that he once held in his younger years, but there is something to be said about leaving a legacy behind, especially when you make claims as fantastical as this. Also, Donald Trump. He was asked recently by his son, Donald Trump Jr., about Area 51. His answer is very interesting. He says, a lot of people ask him that, And there's a lot of interesting things going on there. Donald Trump Jr. asks if he would disclose this information. He smirks, looks to the side, and says, "I will have to think about that." What does Donald Trump know? According to his shed, he's very, very much in the know of what's going on between the United States, Israel, and this Galactic Federation. Questions come to mind, though. This Galactic Federation, if it does exist, if they are able to put man on Mars in underground bases, why then are there failed moon landings? Why did Israel's shuttle not make it to the moon on their first attempt? If they're working with the aliens and they're able to put people on Mars in underground bases, shouldn't they be able to help Israel with a shuttle to the moon? A much easier feat, I would imagine. But it seems that's not the case. It seems they struggle. Why is the United States? Why have we not been back to the moon? Of course, there's always the possibility that we are, in fact, there, and the government is not telling us that. But we have no way of knowing this other than strange footage we see of UFO-type crafts, anomalies on the moon, things of this nature. This is a fantastic story. There seems to be possibly some truth to it by other events that have corroborated this story. Donald Trump being asked, the Space Force program. Another thing to keep in mind is he's 87 years old. There tends to be something that happens in your elderly age when you've been living with something for so long that it weighs on your conscience and you need to get it off your chest before you pass on to the next world. For instance, there's a report of Colonel Hill. He was a highly decorated officer and was quoted on his deathbed as saying this. He claimed that he was flown to Roswell within 24 to 48 hours of the crash. He was tasked with trying to make contact with one of the surviving entities, which Hill described as having a large head, black eyes, and 6 fingers. On his deathbed, he confessed to his caretakers that he had been to Roswell. He was flown in to try to make contact with one of the entities that had survived the crash. He was not able to do this. The entity died before he was able to make communication with him. But there's something to be said about a deathbed confession. Is a shed now at 87 years old no longer wanting to live with the burden of this incredible piece of information that would change the face of the earth? Something to keep in mind. I also have my doubts and questions about these entities, where they come from, and what they're here to do. What exactly are they waiting for us to evolve into? Do they not believe we're ready? The world has already accepted, for the most part, that something's going on, whether you believe it's interplanetary, interdimensional, aliens from another planet, fallen angel technology, demons. We all can agree that there is something going on. And it seems that the powers that be might know more than they're letting on. Well, keep it right here. We'll be following this story with any updates. And tune in on Sundays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our live show as we enter the unfamiliar. We cover the UFO phenomenon, paranormal activity, biblical prophecy, strange mysteries, and hidden histories. We thank you for watching.